Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the first video I am ever making. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing the entire Messier catalog. Now what is the Messier catalog? It is a bunch of objects discovered or cataloged by the French astronomer Charles Messier. Basically, he either discovered or he saw a lot of objects and he just noted them down and cataloged them. And then years later, they were found and it was called the Messier catalog. Now, this is a very famous catalog because there are 110 objects in this catalog and there are a lot of breathtaking sights in this Messier catalog. Most of them are star clusters, but there are many cool objects in this catalog as well, like the Andromeda Galaxy, the Eagle Nebula, and etc. So I thought it would be just fitting to tribute Charles Messier and his work and his research and his cataloging and whatever he did for the benefit of astronomy by actually using this space engine, whose link you can find in the description, and actually going through every single Messier object and explaining them to you. Now, I'm not going to do every single Messier object in one video. However, what I can do is go through the Messier objects in sets of 10. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing Messier objects 1 till 10. So as you can see right in front of me very conveniently, we have Messier object number 1. So this is a Crab Nebula. So actually, Charles Messier, when cataloging and researching this object, he actually thought he was researching the Halley's comet or Hale-Bopp comet, one of those two comets. I'm not sure which comet, but he thought he was actually discovering a comet. Not discovering. He thought he was actually researching Hale-Bopp or Halley's comet. However, we found out it was actually a nebula. It's called a nebula. It's called the Crab Nebula. It doesn't look like a crab from any angle. Uh, but it's called the Crab Nebula because when an English astronomer actually sketched his finding of the Crab Nebula down, it looked very much like a crab, so the name stuck, Crab Nebula. So this is a supernova eminent, meaning a humongous star just exploded, and then this is actually all of its outer matter, uh, which is formed this supernova. And in the middle, we can see the crab pulsar. This is the youngest pulsar in that we know of currently. Um, I don't know if we can here. This is also called the crab. Oh, whoa. This is so bright. Here we go. This is the crab pulsar. Okay, as you can see, this is the crab pulsar because it is well in the crab nebula. And yeah, this is the crab nebula. Really cool. Oh, sorry. This is really cool. And yeah, so that's the crab nebula. And this is actually the youngest. I think this is one of the most famous nebula discoveries ever, because the Chinese actually, saw this nebula happening in the sky in 1054 AD, and they documented it down, and then we found it out many years later. So actually, this is the youngest neutron star pulsar in the middle of this nebula, and this actually, I don't know, this is true or not. It might actually be, you know, so this is the first ever object catalogued by Charles Messier. Of course, he did not discover this object. Many of these objects have not been discovered by Charles Messier. They have just actually been just catalogued by him. So now let's go to Messier number 2, which is in fact a globular cluster. Many of these objects are actually clusters. So this is Messier number 2. It's a globular cluster 234 light years in diameter. That is just humongous. So it's a globular cluster, as I just said, and it is around 33,000 light years away from the Earth. And it is in the constellation Aquarius, and its apparent magnitude from Earth, of course, is 6.3, meaning it's not the brightest object in the night sky. And so this object, absolute magnitude, meaning it truly how bright this is a minus 9.02, which is really bright. So we can actually, I think we can see this from really far away. Actually, no. We can. Oh, wait a minute, we can. A lot of these star clusters are really, here they are, we can see it. Let's go to the object over here, we can see. That is Messier number 2. So this object is really, really bright when we put it in an absolute magnitude scale. And there is, I think, a black hole is there in the middle of this star cluster. That's the black hole. So these are a lot of stars. And okay, so that's Messier number 2 knocked down. And now we're going to go to Messier number 3. Oh, come on, man. Space engine. This is Messier number 3. Now it looks exactly similar to Messier number 2, but it's not similar to Messier number 2. It's a globular cluster which is 33,900 light years away from the Earth. It is in the constellation Canes Venatici. Venatici. Please don't punish me for pronouncing these names wrong. It's how I pronounce it. And the apparent magnitude from Earth is 6.2, so it is actually very less, but just very little brighter than Messier number 2. And its absolute magnitude is minus 8.93. So Messier 2 is actually much brighter than this object. So yeah, and its diameter is 376 light years. So this is smaller, but sort of it's not brighter than Messier 2, but it is. It's not even bigger than Messier number 2. What was I even saying all that? Now I'm gonna go through Messier number 4, which is another cluster. A lot of these objects are actually clusters because they're really easy to find in the night sky. And okay, so Messier number 4 is also called NGC 6121, and it's a globular cluster as well, and it's 7,000 light years away from Earth in a constellation Scorpius, and its apparent magnitude is 5.9, meaning this is not really a bright object because it's close to Earth, but its apparent magnitude is laughable compared. I mean, its apparent magnitude is very close to that of M3 and M2. So M3 and M2 have many more stars inside them, but its absolute magnitude is minus 7.20, which is quite impressive. I mean, there are a lot of stars in here, which is why it's probably so bright. Anyways, now we're going to go through to the next object, which is Messier number 5. And once again, Messier number 5 is another globular cluster. I mean, a lot of these objects are a globular cluster, as I have said 57 times before. Let's go to the Messier number 5. So this is on the outskirts of the Milky Way. This object is on the outskirts of the Milky Way, I believe. Oh yes, it is definitely on the outskirts of the Milky Way. And now, where have you gone, Messier number 5? I need to find you. There you are. So it's pretty much on the outskirts of the Milky Way. And this object is what do you call it? 24,500 light years away from Earth. It is in the constellation Serpens. Its apparent magnitude is 6.7, so it is not brighter than M3, M2, and M4, but it is brighter than the Crab Nebula. And it's what do you call it? It has a diameter of 202 light years, and its absolute magnitude is 8.81. Very impressive for such a star cluster. Wow, look at this. Can you see this? Wow. Black hole. So this is actually a really cool object. I know that many of these objects are just a bunch of star clusters, but what can you do? There are a lot of them star clusters. Now let's go to Messier number 6. Now Messier number 6 is again another star cluster as well, but this is not a globular cluster. This is an open cluster. So if you can see these 6 stars over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. This is the butterfly cluster, and this cluster is actually very close, very close to us compared to the previous 5 objects. It is 1,600 light years away from the Earth, and this object is in the constellation Scorpius, and it has an apparent magnitude of 4.2. Well, because it's really close to Earth. And I cannot pull out the stats. Okay, here we go. And its absolute magnitude is minus 1.15, which is not as bright as the other objects we just saw, and its diameter is 9.24 light years. That's big, but not as big as the other star clusters that we just saw over here. Okay, now we're going to go through Messier 7. Now Messier 7 is another open cluster called the Ptolemy cluster. Now, I'm not sure why it's called the Ptolemy cluster. If any of you know, you can please tell me in the comment section below why it's called the Ptolemy cluster. And it's an open cluster which is around 650 and 1310 light years away from Earth. And sort of star, I've lost the whole thing. Anyways, it has a diameter of 22 light years, which is more than M6, and it is in the constellation Scorpius with an apparent magnitude of 3.3. Well, it is the closest so far, is the closest object so far. So it's of course going to have a very good apparent magnitude, and its absolute magnitude is minus 0.17. Not the most impressive, but whatever. Now we're going to go to finally the finally we're going to go through the finally we're going to go through the juicy stuff. Let's go to M8. That is M8. Oops, sorry guys. M8. Let's go to M8. Now this is M8. This is the Lagoon Nebula, and it is a very big nebula, and it is 104 light years in diameter, and it's a nebula with a star cluster inside it. I'm not sure whether it's a globular star cluster or an open star cluster, but it does have a star cluster inside it. It is 4,000 light years away from us in the constellation Sagittarius. It has an apparent magnitude of 6.0, but its absolute magnitude is minus 4.58, so it's not actually that bright. It's not brighter than the star clusters that we just saw. But yeah, can you see these? Oh wow, these purple colors are really cool. And wow, can you see this? And it has a really bright core, which is and oh, here's the star cluster. It's an open star cluster over here. So this is a really cool object, and it's a really big nebula. It's very big nebula. If I can click on it properly. Right, it's 104 light years, which is a very big for a nebula. In fact, we can see it. We can't see it from the outside, but it is actually really big. So yeah, that's M8. It is also called NGC 6523. So now let's go to M9. Here, this is another star cluster. This is again a globular cluster over here, and oh, this is really close to NGC 6432. So this star cluster in fact is really big. It is 61. Oh, it's not actually that big. It's 61 light years in diameter with an absolute magnitude of minus 7.94, which is really bright for an object of this size. And it is 25,000 light years away from us in the constellation Ophiuchus. I don't know how to pronounce it. Please don't slander me for pronouncing it wrong. And it has an apparent magnitude of 8.4. So it's not really bright as from Earth, even, but I mean it is 25,000 light years away, but unfortunately it is not as bright. Oh shoot, guys, let's get back here. Get back here. Get back here. Okay, here it is. So that this is M9, and for the last object we are going to Messier number 10. Now this is a globular cluster as well. It's also known by the name NGC 6254. Its diameter is 90 light years approximately, and it has an absolute magnitude of 7.48. So that is really bright, and it's around 14,000 light years away from Earth, which is very far. And it's in the constellation Ophiuchus. Please don't slander me. And its apparent magnitude from Earth is 6.4. So I don't. The brightest object so far is the Ptolemy cluster, but that is really close. This object is actually really far away from us. So that is actually many of the star clusters are actually really bright. So that's actually very nice. So that's it. We're done with Messier 1 till Messier 10. So that's going to be the end of today's episode in Messier Marathon. So thank you for watching this video. I'm going to really soon post Messier 11 to Messier 21, since it doesn't take that long to edit or anything. You don't really need to edit anything. You just need to go and explore for yourself. It's really fun. Once again, the link to Space Engine, the program I have used to explore, all these Messier objects, will be down in the link below, and you can try it out for yourself if you want to find out all the Messier objects. Once again, enjoy the video, enjoy space sciences, and share this video with someone who also likes space. Until then, keep exploring space. Bye bye, and I'll see you in the next video.